Hi, seventh grade gladiators. This is Miss Roberts. I'm here to share with you the next guidance lesson that I'll be presenting to you during your ELA classes. But I wanted to make sure I had a recording of it to give you an opportunity, if you're asynchronous, to take a look at this presentation, or if you just need to go back and go over some of the information that I went over with you on class, this is here for you. So this time we are going to be talking about stress management in a virtual setting. So there's no doubt that this has been a year of years when it comes to dealing with stress. Seventh grade alone is a challenging time. It's a bit, right in the middle of your education. You're in the middle of middle school, and lots of things that you're working through, whether it's academics, personal activities outside of school. And then on top with everything with the pandemic, our stress has been pretty high. So what I want to talk to you a little bit today is about stress and how we have some great resources that we want to share with you today that will be available to you. So here's our agenda. We're going to do a little introduction, talk about stress. We're going to talk about what coping skills are. I'm going to get to show you the new HGMS counseling virtual resources that is launching this week. We won't get to do the Kahoot, and then we will kind of close out here. So, what are we doing today? So, we're going to be discussing and identifying stressors in our lives, how to manage them, and what resources are available to you. So why are we talking about this? When we did the information or survey at the beginning of the year, when we asked a lot of you, what are some things that you need help with? What are some things that are giving you maybe some anxiety? Lots of you mentioned managing stress, and that ranked pretty high on your concerns in that assessment that we did. So today we will identify stressors in our life, and we will also evaluate your response to that stress through your knowledge of coping skills. So how would you define stress? So I'm just going to give you a few seconds to think about that. How would you yourself define stress? Of course, in the classroom, I would have you put some things in the chat, but just think about that for a moment. What defines stress for you? So, before we go into this next step, some of the things that people have mentioned about what is stress. Stress is when you might feel overwhelmed, when you have a lot of projects or a lot of things that are due at one time. Maybe you have multiple tests on the same day or the same week. You have projects due. Maybe you have extracurricular activities that keep you very busy, and that can lead to some stress in your life. So what is stress? Stress is the body's automatic response to any physical or mental demand placed on it. So here's the example. You experience a stressor. So maybe you're feeling overwhelmed with your workload. So what happens is your body releases stress hormones, and that includes adrenaline and cortisol. Your body is physically preparing for emergency action. So you might actually feel some physical changes in your body. Maybe your heart rate increases, your blood pressure increases. Some of you might feel like your hands get sweaty, your head might start to hurt a little bit, our stomach gets a little bit knotted. We all respond differently to this response when we're feeling stressed. And so you're feeling that stress because your body is saying you might be in danger. And now, are you actually physically, in danger? No, but it's just your body's way of responding to that stressor. So what are your triggers? So all stress, I want to point out, isn't bad. We are going to experience stress, and there is positive stress that we encounter trying something, something new, meeting new people. Those could lead to some stressful situations and stress feelings in your body, but they're not necessarily bad. But while it isn't bad, having frequent stress responses and not being able to cope are not good for us emotionally, physically, or mentally. So for this reason, it's real important to recognize is what causes you the most stress in your life. And we're talking to begin about that negative type of stress. And we call the things that bring about this type of stress, we call it triggers. So what are your triggers? So here are some examples: school workload, family issues, peer relationships, so friendships, self-image, your busy schedule, or other. So just take a moment and think about what are some of your triggers that lead stress for yourself. So like we said, we are going to experience stress, and coping skills are strategies that help you manage stressful situations. You hear us talk about coping skills a lot. We have Fanny Pack Friday last year, where we would have different strategies or different coping skills for you. We talk a lot about it if you come into the office about what are some coping skills that you use. And this image has 50 ways to take a break, which is also really, it's just 50 ways or 50 different coping skills that could be very helpful. So some of these are things that you could do at school. Some of them are things that you could maybe do if you're at home or you're outside of school. They don't necessarily lend themselves to being the best for in a school setting. But we are going to talk about things that you can do while you're here at school. So all of your stress, it does have to go somewhere. Okay. Sometimes you might need to process your emotions, complete an activity, or self soothe in order to center yourself. And the point is that there are a lot of options that you can explore to figure out what works best for you. Each one of us is different. Each one of us is going to have different coping skills that work for us. One coping skill that works for us may not work for one of our best friends. But there's some different examples on here of things that you can do. So like we have different types of self-soothing, being aware, awareness, naming the emotions, just being aware that you have them. Maybe distracting yourself with an activity that you enjoy, practicing mindfulness, which means being present in that moment, specifically, identifying your five senses, identifying your thoughts, and just staying present. Acceptance. So, radically accepting rather than rejecting. So, turning the mind from rejection to acceptance. Sometimes you do have to tell yourself, okay, I am stressed right now. I am in a stressful situation. This is how I'm feeling. Let me work through this. Journaling, sometimes that's very helpful, especially gratitude journals are very popular. And by popular, I mean they're becoming more and more useful and well known now. Just sensations, distress tolerance skills with tension, temperature, and relaxation. So maybe splashing your face with some cold water if you can. And then opposite, if you're having some stress that's leading to some negative feelings, maybe reading some positive affirmations, doing some positive self-talk. But there's a wide variety of coping skills out there. So what coping skills do you use to relieve stress? So just think about that for a moment. What are some things that you do that help relieve the stress that you encounter? Because we all encounter stress in, in different ways. So as I mentioned before, some of the coping skills that were on that that cute uh, image, or other ones that I talked about in the other slide, would work outside of school. But what if you're in class? You're in a classroom, and you can't just go out and leave the room. You're in a place where you're supposed to be, and you need a coping skill that helps you. Well, deep breathing, purposeful breathing is very helpful and very useful. And one strategy is called the figure eight breathing. So here is an image of a figure eight, and you can easily, if you find yourself in the classroom and you're starting to feel stressed, you draw a figure eight, and then you just put your finger where in the middle, and you breathe in slowly as your finger goes around the first part of the eight, and then you slowly breathe out as your finger goes around the other half of the eight. And then you can do that again. You slowly breathe in, and then you slowly breathe out going around. So the figure eight breathing is a helpful strategy to use. So life is tough, but so are you. And we know that, you have the strength, you have the skills, and if not, you have the ability to learn different skills that are going to help you in stressful situations. So what I'm going to show you next is we are launching, I'm really excited about this, our virtual counseling resources. So I'm going to show you where you can go to find these resources. So let me close this. And then I'm going to go to the Schoology. So when you go to Schoology, as you know, you have a lot more tiles than I do, but one of your tiles says Counseling Department, and it says Grade 07 Roberts. So you can click here, and right at the top of my classroom is our awesome HGMS virtual counseling resources. So we created this page to offer different counseling virtual resources for you. And this is filled with lots of awesome and interesting things. So here we have all of our staff. We have Miss Menace, who's one of our 8th grade counselors and our head counselor. Here's me doing some kind of silly pose. We have Miss Nieto, who's for 6th grade, and then we have Miss Ramirez, who's our other 8th grade counselor. Each one of us has our own counseling classroom. So if you click on right here where it says 7th grade, it'll take you to my counseling classroom. And in here, I've included different resources, links to different, coping skills, and things that we hope will be helpful for you. So, for example, if you click on the binoculars, it takes you to the page where it gives you some mindful watching, and these are different live feeds that show you different places. Could be of animals, it could be of a landscape, things that will just kind of help soothe you, bring you some calm, help you relieve some stress. If I click on this one, it's going to take us to right now it's currently live at this senior dog gathering room. So we can just kind of look at some dogs who are just, hanging out, chilling, just having a good time, just relaxing. So each one of those it's going to be different every day. If you need to go back, you can just click the home page. It'll take you back to the beginning. Go back. Here it says just breathe. Here we have some links to different strategies for breathing. We have box breathing. Oh, nope, that didn't take us there. Let me go back. Oops, back to home. Like 478 is actually going to take you to a video